Who's calling me stupid, bruh? So, about today, I was watching some stuff over the weekend, right? I was watching some videos, something which I kind of realized over the weekend is how shitty the algorithm is for like streaming and stuff, right? I feel like you can simplify all streams into either interesting streams or entertaining streams, right? Because in order to like pull in new viewers, you have to be one of these two things, right? And you need something unique about yourself. For like interesting streams, so this is like pro gamers, speedrunners, people who watch like League of Legends, people who watch like CSGO. You come and watch this stuff for the gameplay and not the streamer, right? Whereas this is just where the funny people are, or like the angry people are, okay? Because some people like to watch angry streamers, okay? And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like this. This I don't like. At least personally. Like, this is like, it's interesting to watch, but for me to actually do this, people who do this, they end up trapped, right? They end up trapped in like their game, because if you come and you watch, let's say you have like 1,000 viewers, right? Say you're a Nintendo speedrunner, right? If you have 1,000 viewers because you're speedrunning Nintendo games, and then you try to play, say, like League, right? And then you try to stream a game of League, your 1,000 viewers are gonna sink, right? They're gonna sink because they have come to watch you speedrun Nintendo, and they're not here to watch you play a video game. Like, does that make sense? Whereas people who do this stuff, they are like variety streamers, and so these people can play, like, they could play Ape Escape, they could play like Dark Souls, right? Balatro, Minecraft, and it's like, it doesn't matter what they play because their viewers, they might lose like a couple of viewers, but their viewers are gonna stay, because here you come for the gameplay and here you come for the streamer, right? And like, this is what I want to do, because I don't want to commit to one game and get stuck like this. You know what I mean? Like, am I making sense here? I don't want to get stuck playing like Pokemon. I don't want to get stuck playing Dark Souls, because it's not fun. I can't commit to one game, you know? I can't do that. But I also have 14,000 hours in Final Fantasy 14, so like, ooh. Maybe I'm a liar, actually. And that's entertaining, baby. Yeah, so it's just like, I don't want to be this. I want to be this. But this is super difficult, right? Here's how I view content creation, right? Let's say, okay, this is me, okay? Hi, this is me. I've got a fat head, okay? And my left arm is super big, okay? And then this is my viewers. Okay, let's say I have 100 viewers, okay, which I don't. If I'm streaming to 100 people, if I'm just saying shit, you guys are also saying shit, right? So it's like a game of tennis, right? So I'm serving up shit for you to say, and then you're serving up shit for me to say, right? This is the way this is like a back and forth sort of situation. This is how chat works, okay? This is how chat works. I say shit, you guys say shit, we bounce off each other, we make content, right? This is how streaming works. And it's what makes streaming more fun than like just recording. Because if I'm recording, this isn't here, and I'm just yapping at myself, right? However, this is really difficult if you're a small streamer, because this becomes this. And this person, okay, might not be serving, because they might be a lurker, they might not know what to say, and so now you're serving and there's no response, right? And so it becomes this thing where you're having to serve, you're having to set up the jokes and respond to them at the same time, so it's all on you. And this is really difficult, right? If I was to describe this is more like improv comedy, right? This is more like improv comedy, whereas this is, I would say, chemistry-based comedy. And the only way for you to get this, while still being this, is collaborations, which is very difficult to do as a small streamer, because people don't want to collab with small streamers, they want to collab with the big streamers, you know? And so it's difficult to be this when no one can really do this Because this is a learned skill. This is not like a natural skill you have, you know, knowing how to do improv. I completely get what you're saying, but I find the way you're explaining it kind of funny. Does this not make sense? Am I not making sense? A game of tennis perfectly encapsulates what I'm trying to say here, right? Guys, am I crazy? This is super difficult, right? Because this also applies to, like, pre-recorded stuff, right? This is me, right? By the way, this is me. Hi, this is me, okay? This is me here with my fucking flathead. Like, I have lots of ideas, right? I have lots of ideas for, like, stuff I can do off stream for, like, making shorts or videos and stuff, but I can't do them, right? Because I don't have this. Because this is also a confidence thing, right? This is also confidence. And a lot of people don't have the confidence to just sit down in front of a mic and act in the exact same way as they would as if this wall wasn't here, right? You know what I mean? Because talking to yourself is so much more different than talking to somebody else. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? And so, realistically, the only way for you to end up in this sort of entertaining situation with people to bounce off is either collaborations or being picked up by a large streamer. So would you want to be a more popular streamer? Because I was to have a community of people that watch my streams, but I don't want too big of a community. So here's the thing, there is a sweet spot, right? There is a sweet spot with viewers, right? Here's the thing, right? If 10 people are just yapping at you, you can kind of follow what's going on. And if 100 people are yapping at you, your content will inherently improve, right? It will inherently improve because you have the more people that are serving at you, right? The more people that are serving, like, dialogue at you, the more opportunities you have to cherry pick good messages, right? So that you can have, like, a better serve. Like, you know what I mean? So that you can respond better. But then once you start to hit, like, 1,000, 10,000 viewers, then it just becomes like a garbled fucking mess, right? It just becomes a complete garbled mess. And you can still sort of pick stuff out, but it's just like, at that point, it becomes like super fucking unruly. Personally, I would not be able to handle it. But obviously, by the time you hit these numbers, as a person, you've probably become far more confident because you've probably got more, like, experience doing this. So your confidence goes up and you could probably handle 1,000 viewers better than you could if you were used to having only 10 people. Does that make sense? Yeah, so, like, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about, like, small streamers, right? And I've noticed this. I don't know if this is a thing with, like, all streamers, but I know it's definitely a thing with VTubers. When this wall is up because, like, they don't have viewers, because they only have, like, one viewer, or they only have, like, you know, they have, like, sub 10 viewers, right? They have, like, sub 10 viewers, and these viewers they're all lurkers, right? These are all lurkers in this chat. So this streamer doesn't have, they don't have anything, right? So they have to set things up for themselves, but they don't have the confidence to do this. And as a result, a lot of, like, small streamers, they don't talk at the wall, right? They don't do this. And so their stream is just, it's nothing. It's absolute, there's nothing here, right? It sucks because, like, in order to get these people to talk, you have to be talking at the wall, right? Because these people don't have the confidence that you don't. And therefore, they will only respond if you respond, but you're only going to respond if they talk. Like, you feel me? So you have to engage them for them to engage with you. Does that make sense? Whereas if you have this many viewers, you don't have to engage them because they will engage you, and you just have to respond. What it becomes is, if you have 1,000 viewers, you don't have to do anything because chat will create the content for you. But if you only have, like, 5 viewers, then you have to create the content for yourself. You understand me? I try to talk, but I get focused on the game, start talking. Yeah, so I, like, personally speaking, right, I think, and here's the thing, right, I don't like to, like, toot my own horn very much, right, but I think I'm very good at not shutting the fuck up, right? I think if this is me, okay, if this is me, I can yap at this wall constantly. Like, this is me, I don't shut the fuck up. The problem is I don't have an off switch, you know, my switch is on all the time, okay? I don't shut the fuck up. But when I was like flicking through my Fallout 4 VoD, because I was looking for stuff to pull out of it for like shorts and stuff, I realized there was like long periods of time where like 15, 20, sometimes 30 seconds where I wasn't saying anything. And I didn't realize that like I was doing that. Because I just like, sometimes I just like kind of like zone out. And it doesn't happen super often. But I did notice that I was doing it as well. And so I can see how like people easily like fall into that situation, you know? It's just, it's really hard to just like constantly fucking talk. But it is an unfortunate necessity unless you have like a friend or like a fellow streamer. Because even saying a friend is difficult because some friends aren't like, for a lack of a better term, they're not content pilled, right? They aren't interested in making content. They just want to play the game. And that's not the type of person you want to play with on stream. What you want to play with on stream is someone who is willing to also go the extra mile to make good content, right? Having other people who, like, this is why collaborations are so important, but I feel like collaborations, especially for like small VTubers, are so fucked. Because there's just like so much drama with like VTuber stuff, right? With people just like wanting like more viewers. And I can understand wanting more viewers, but the best way to get viewers is to be unique, right? And you can't be unique on your own. Well, I should say you can be unique on your own, but it's extremely difficult, whereas it's extremely easy to be unique with another person, right? Because the chemistry between two people will always be unique, you know? It will always be unique. Even if, like, let's say you have two groups of people, okay? And these both have similar comedy, right? They're both similar jokes. You will still get different experiences from both these people because they're four unique people, right? So even if their jokes are similar, you will still get two different experiences. Does that make sense? It's why collaborations are so important as a small streamer to like grow your audience. I feel like I can talk a lot during my streams because I mostly play a game called Clan Gen, where there are tons of different statuses of characters. I'm always reading. Yeah, reading is good, but you can kind of fall into a trap. If you're reading, it's not entertaining, right? Like that's the problem. Like if you're like, there's a point where when you're reading stuff, it's not an entertaining stream as it's somebody's just watching a playthrough, like, you know what I mean? Because like it's less a stream with a personality and it's more like watching a game with text to speech on. Does that make sense? But yeah, another reason I want to talk about this, hold on, was because I'm gonna be honest, this looks like a fucking mess, and it's honestly so funny. This is what the inside of my brain looks like at all times, and it's probably why I stutter, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is probably why I stutter, because this is what my thought process looks like. I mentioned, like, the view account thing, right? I don't know if you saw this, okay? But I want to talk about two people, okay? One is Ludwig, okay? Large content creator, and the other is Point Crow, okay? Who is also these are both large on YouTube and Twitch, right? They did really interesting things recently where Ludwig created a new account on YouTube and tried to find himself through the algorithm in shorts. And it took him 4 hours to find his own channel. He has 6 million subs. It took him 4 hours to find himself, which is, like, that's crazy. And then Point Crow, okay, did a questionnaire, and 36,000 people replied, okay, of his viewers. And do you want to know how many of these people found him through Twitch? And this guy has, like, easily, like, a couple of thousand viewers every stream. It was less than 900 found him through Twitch. The fucking algorithm for finding new content... Oh, wait, chat, I've just realized. My fat fucking face and look. 900 of 36,000 found him through Twitch, and he has like a couple of thousand viewers. It's like discoverability on these websites is like, if it takes 4 hours, right? If it takes 4 hours to find Ludwig, who has 6 million subs, how fucking long is it going to take you to find my YouTube channel, that has 600? You know, like, how long is it going to take to find that? Like, obviously, he did this with a new account, right? But it's still, like, it's still fucking baffling, you know, that it takes that many, you know? It's why, like, collabs, again, like, going back to this, it's why this is so important. It's just, it's really hard to get there, because I feel like the VTuber community, they're just, like, super immature, you know? Like, it's very, like, playground-esque, unfortunately. And, like, I wish it wasn't, but there is, like, a lot of situations where it's just, like, very, like, playground bullshit, right? With, like, the VTuber community a lot of the time. And it's just, like, it's so confusing because, like, stepping on each other doesn't make much sense to me because, like, going back to this shit, right? It's like, your content gets vastly better the more of you there are, right? If there's 2 of you, your content gets, like, twice as good because you can just, like, bounce off each other constantly, you know? These 2 look like they're tonguing each other. I don't know if VTubers tongue each other. They might do. This is just really difficult because you need to find people that have, like, good chemistry, you know? This is the most important thing for you as like a new content creator or, like, a small content creator. This sucks. Like, this sucks. You know, this is just garbage. It's absolutely fucking worthless. And so the only hope you have is this. This is, like, your only hope as, like, a new content creator. Because that is how you get past this wall. And this is, like, the biggest wall to entertainment. Because either you do this, you get past this wall, or you switch tracks and you become an interesting streamer. Because I feel like for, like, speedrunners and, like pros and stuff, they have really small communities, but their community is, like, super dedicated. You know what I mean? It's, like, super dedicated. You're extremely niche, and as a result, they will always show up to your streams. Whereas compared to this, where you could have a potentially larger audience, but it's, like, not as locked in, you know? Anyway, I hope this all makes sense, because I don't really have a way at the moment of getting past this wall, because I don't have any, like, VTuber friends, you know? Do you know what sucks about this, by the way? Do you know what sucks about this? The confidence thing? I have so many, like, there's a lot of times when, like, before stream, I have stuff that I'm, like, thinking about, right? Like this is all, like, a good example of this, right? Is I have, like, lots of, like, good ideas, like, off stream that I want to talk about on stream, right? And the moment I sit down in front of my shitty little fucking Blue Yeti snowball, okay, my confidence leaves. And, like, I wish I could, like, overcome this barrier. Like, this barrier. Because I don't know if you remember, like, a long while back, I did a Nuzlocke video. That video sounds super fucking flat because it's post-commentary. And that's because my confidence when I sit in front of a microphone just, like, leaves me. It just completely fucking leaves me. And I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if it, like, becomes apparent, right? But let's say this is, like, this is the duration of the stream, right? And this, my confidence, okay? As the stream goes on, my confidence goes up. I don't know if you've, like, noticed this, but my confidence when I start streaming is very bad. And then as the stream goes on, like, I get more relaxed. And so my confidence goes up. But this doesn't happen if I'm not streaming. If I'm not streaming, this never goes up, and I just feel awkward the entire time, and my confidence just stays down. And I don't know how to fix that. It's, like, it's really, really, really fucking bad. And so, like, there's so many, like, just, like, ideas I have for shorts and stuff, and they don't happen because my confidence is just, like, it's just not there. And do you know what sucks about this thing as well? Do you know what really sucks about this thing? Is I end stream ends, the moment I end stream, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I remember everything. I remember everything I wanted to talk about, and I just sit there with my head in my hands for like 5 minutes as I remember all the things I wanted to talk about on stream. And I'm like, brain, why have you done this to me? Why have you forsaken me, you little bastard? My brain hates me, actually. Hold on. Wait, how the fuck? I teleported! Guys, I've got new tech. Look at this. Okay. Right, I remembered what I wanted to talk about. It's related to this. It's related to this, right? I think this is the main reason why a lot of VTubers, they end up doing a lot of React content, right? Inherently, I don't have an issue with React content. I don't, right? I don't have an issue with it. Problem I have with it is when it's all you do. If it's all you do, then I kind of have like an issue with it, right? Because then it's like, then you don't inherently have any content of your own, you know? And at that point, it goes back to like, it goes back to this, right? It goes back to this, where people aren't here for you, they're here for the content. Like, does that make sense? Like, they're there to watch you watch the video they're aware of, rather than they're there... Oh boy, describing this is difficult. They're there to watch you watch their content creator, rather than they're there to discover content with you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It's different to like media share, right? Where people are still here for you to watch funny videos, rather than general React content where people are more interested in the actual content itself rather than you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I've done a little bit of React content, but in my eyes, there's two types of React content, right? There's two types of React content. If you're doing general React content, you're reacting to typically like reacting to other content creators, or you're reacting to things you aren't necessarily involved in. So for example, I react to like Genshin trailers, right? Or I don't know, the new Call of Duty game, or some huge fucking drama, you know? It's like this is you trying to do basically piggyback off large content creators, but without the collab. Does that make sense? Because this is appearing in the search for the other content creator, and you're just piggybacking off that. And so this isn't inherently your content, it's someone else's content, right? Whereas this is like professional reaction content. Like, this is something where you have more of like, you have insight, right? So for example, let's say you're like a musician, or you're like an animator, right? Or you're just someone who knows the franchise, right? This is where you can give insight as a musician into the music, or you can give insight into how it's animated, or you can give insight into the characters and the lore and the things like that. And this is like good, because again, this goes back to the other stuff where they're there for what you're watching, whereas they're there for you. Does that make sense? And so like, this is reaction content I like, and this is reaction content I don't like. That's it. I still consume both of these, because this is good background noise, right? That's what this is. This is inherently background noise, whereas this is a more interesting video to watch, you know? Because the thing about this is, you know this is going to be good because you likely already know the content that's in the video. Like, if I watch someone react to Russian Badger's newest video, right? I've already seen it, so I already know I'm going to be entertained because it's Russian Badger's video. But I don't know if the person piggybacking off this is going to be entertaining, you know? Whereas this, I'm likely going to always be entertained by both the trailer, which I already have the knowledge of because I know the franchise, and I'm going to get professional insight from a musician or an animator, you know? This is just how I personally view it. And I wish that less people did this type of reaction content, because it's just filler. And, you know, I have tried this type of content. I tried it once, and I super didn't enjoy doing it. And I'm not shaming anyone for doing this, right? Like, this, here's the thing. This content works, right? It works because this is where you get the views, right? This gets you views. As a result, people watch your content, right? But the problem goes back to this. It goes back to this, where people aren't gonna stay because they're not there for you. They're there for the initial content that they already know about. Whereas if they want the entertainment stuff, you're not getting this, you know? Where people will stay around if you move on. People are only going to be there temporarily, you know? Does that make sense? It's just, it's difficult, man. And it's why I think people really need to just band together. Because if they don't, then they're not going to take off, you know? Because it's so difficult to take off, because being unique is... It's difficult, right? It's difficult. You kind of need to band together in order to take off, and it's rough. One thing I will say is, and this is I think an issue a lot of content creators have, is they can sometimes take the collaborations too far, where they will put too many people into a collaboration. You know, because then it becomes like loud. It becomes like really, really loud. It becomes impossible to tell who's who. You know what I'm saying? Let's use Lethal Company as an example, okay? Lethal Company is a game which you all know, okay? It was a 4-player game where you went into a building and then you died. That was Lethal Company. And it was very funny. And inherently it had 4 players, okay? And this was fun. And then the mods came out and people made like 20 people lobbies, okay? And this is bad. This is bad because when you have 4 people, you know who everyone is, and you can distinctly hear them, and people can have their own stories, right? Because when 3 people are dead, there is now only 1 person alive, and then you all get to see this person, you know, fuck about. Whereas if 19 people are dead, everyone is still fucking super talking over each other, and no one can hear anything anyone is saying. You know what I mean? And so this is like my issue a lot of content creators have with collaborations, is they bump the numbers up too high when less is more. Less is more. You know what I mean? Gets too chaotic. Recently saw a 14 person. See, here's the thing though. This number, it fluctuates depending on the game. It fluctuates depends on the game, right? Like 12 people in Lethal Company is too much, right? But 12 people in Among Us, right, is fine, right? Because in Among Us, you have like a set goal, and the numbers will decline, and there's also long periods of time in like the actual rounds where people can't talk, right? Whereas in Lethal Company, everyone can talk at all times until they're dead. Whereas in Among Us, that doesn't happen unless you have like proximity chat on. But Among Us with proximity chat, I'll be honest, kind of sucks. Just play Goose Goose Duck at that point. The number depends on the game you're playing. I do think that obviously past a certain point, it's too much. I think like 12 to 13, the ideal. You know, 12 to 13 people is like the ideal. Well, with games like Among Us and Lethal Company, because once people start dying, this number will drop fairly quickly. And I think 12 to 13 people can be pretty respectful of each other. But once you start like going into like 14, 15, it just starts to become a mess because everybody wants to be heard, you know? However, in order for this to work, you need 12 to 13 adults, you know, in terms of like maturity. Because like even like 10 people are capable of just like completely yapping over each other at all times. And so you need 12 to 13 people who are like respectful of each other. Which goes back to like the chemistry thing, right? The chemistry. And it's really hard to find like 10 people who you have chemistry with. Nobody really wants to play Among Us anymore, you know? Probably because it requires so many people, because all the new games require like 4 people, like Lethal Company. What was that game where everybody had like smiley faces on TVs? Content Warning. That's it. Yeah, it's called Content Warning. And then obviously you've got Repo. These games are like inherently super fun because 4 is a really good number, you know? 4 is a really good, like I think it really shows with things like D&D, right? It's like 4 to 5 is like ideal, but once you start getting into like 6 to 7 people, the game starts to bog down, you know? Because things start taking too long and people start talking over each other. And so, like, I think 4 is, like, the ideal for collaborations. Unless it's, like, a specific game like Among Us or Minecraft where people have more long periods of time where they're quiet or where they're just far away from each other, you know? I don't know. This has just been what I've been thinking about over the weekend. I hope, like, this has been, like, interesting or something. I don't know. Maybe it hasn't been. That is what I think. Anyway.